Hey y'all, it's David Ducker coming back at you. Today I'm going to be talking about three things, perhaps the three most important things in a campaign. The story, the setting, and the team. I've really been harping about this for a long time. The story, the setting, the team. They need to gel together perfectly before you even get started. So I thought I'd do a video about that. I've been doing a lot of posts about it in the Role Players Anonymous forum, #1 forum for RPGs. And I just want to reiterate that. So, let's break it down. The story is the plot. It's what's going to happen. It's a series of events or of themes that you want to become involved in. So it's very important that the team is involved in these themes, is involved in these plots. The team is involved in the story. It's equally important the story makes sense in the setting. If you have Jedi Knights run in and chop up Congress, and President Obama has to call the Justice League to come put down these Jedi, you're getting your settings confused. And that's going to cause a lot of problems because the story, what's able to happen in the plot, depends on all those little pieces, those toys in your sandbox, and the structure of your sandbox. So that's all setting stuff. Who, what, where, when, why, how. Perhaps these are all tools of the setting. In terms of the history, in terms of the technology, the government, the culture, all the individual people and their flaws and foibles and personality quirks and traits. That's all part of the setting. And your story needs to reflect that. You can't forget that that FEMA is out there and they're going to take care of disaster relief. That's an element of your setting, and if you forget it, it's going to impact your story. Right? So those two elements need to tie in. And then again, your team, they need to fit into your setting. You can't have a Jedi Knight show up in Warhammer 40K. It just doesn't make sense. Just like you can't have an orc with a scimitar show up in Call of Cthulhu. It doesn't make sense. Your team needs to fit into the setting. They also need to be a group of individuals able to explore the story, the themes going on there. Even on a lesser extent, if your story is about political intrigue and one or more of your team members don't care, you're going to have major problems. The GM will have problems, that player will have problems, other players will have problems. And the team, in addition, it has to be these individuals who fit into the setting and who fit into the story, but they also have to be a team. They're not a collection of individuals, but a unit and a group. They have to have reasons to stay together, whether those reasons come from the setting, whether those reasons come from the story. That doesn't really matter, but it needs to have. It needs to happen. There need to be those reasons there. So these three elements, the team, the setting, the story, it doesn't matter where you start, and it doesn't matter where you finish, but they all have to connect. It's like a tripod. You pull any one out, the others don't work. They don't make sense. All right? So if you have your team, but you have no story for them to explore, it doesn't matter. If you have your story, this great story that you've written in your mind, but when your players show up, the characters they've made can't explore that story, it doesn't matter. And if you have a great setting with a huge amount of detail, but then the team shows up and geographically they just take off. They cast greater teleport, they switch the hyperdrive on, they use super speed, whatever it is, they abandon your setting or the setting that you had prepped, the area of the setting you had prepped. Then you're going to have problems. But if your setting, your story, your team all gel together and they form that perfect tripod, the number of problems you're going to have, very, very, very minimal. They're going to follow the themes. You don't need to have, the end of the story written. but you need to know what the story's about, right? And I've done videos about story before. And you don't have to have every single person in the setting. You can improvise a little bit, but you need to have the big institutions, the power players. They need to be set in that sandbox. And, for the team, that's the one, as a GM, you should do the least work on, because you have 6 other individuals doing that work for you. All you have to do is say, you're all members of a temple, and then pass it off to them. Because first of all, that the temple will follow this story. Maybe it's a story about religious heresy and theocracy and demons and angels. And also, that, because you've defined the temple, you've said the temple of Zeus or the temple of Megubliet or whatever it is, that will tie them into the setting. So by just saying, make a member of a temple of Zeus, now you've provided them with the info to draw on the setting so they can do all the work for themselves. You've provided them with a team concept to bind them. And in selecting that concept, you should know they're going to follow your story. And you might not know if they're going to be on the side of the angels or the demons. And you might not know who's going to win. And I'll have more fun as a GM if I don't know. If I just throw a bunch of angels out and throw a bunch of demons out, and I know each of them, and I know how they're going to react, but when the PCs get there, all bets are off. PCs can make friends with one and hate the other, and start murdering them, and torture an angel by pulling all his feathers out, because the tears of an angel are a powerful material component. And then they could turn around and use the tears to blast the devils. And it's like you just tortured your own dude so that you could, I never saw that coming, As a GM, I don't want to know what's going to happen. I just want to prep the sandbox. It's a place, a setting, well detailed, lots of people, lots of factions. And I know what my theme is, my story. Who are the 2 groups that are not getting along? They're going to hate each other. They're going to fight. And who are the players that they are going to get drawn into that story? Right? That's about it. This is almost like How to GM 101. Although I think I did a How to GM 101 video. But I just wanted to elaborate on that tripod. The story, the setting, the team. Because it's a team sport. So let me know what you think about this concept. If it sounds like it has merit, if it sounds like I'm just rambling, let me know. Let me know if it applies equally well to railroads and sandboxes. Because I'm so sandboxed, I often don't think about railroads. But until we meet again, good day and good gaming.